Hello and welcome. First, I'm going to say, wow, I am so amazed by the synastry I found between Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, and Anne Boleyn. I am amazed. So I'm going to say that first, okay? Let's get started. Meghan is on the inside in blue, okay? And Anne is on the outside in red, okay? I have the birth dates there, and I have an explanation here about the different calendars with Anne Boleyn, okay? And I have all so Anne Boleyn was born in Norfolk, England, etc., okay? And we have all the information, all the birth time up here, okay? Let's just get into the synastry chart because I think this is amazing. I really do. There's a possibility of a karmic link, a soul link, a soul connection, soul resonance, soul clusters, archetypal energies, archetypal patterns, all kinds of possibilities. Okay, let's take a look at this. It's incredible. Okay, in my opinion. Okay, first we'll start with the basics. All right, so Meghan has her ascendant in Cancer. Okay, her sun in Leo in the first house. Moon in Libra in the third house, okay? Venus in Virgo in the third house, and midheaven in Aries, okay? All right. Anne has her ascendant in Leo, okay? She has her sun in Taurus in the 10th house, very public house, which makes sense. The moon in Pisces, 7th house. Venus in Aries, 8th house. That also makes sense. If you know about what happened with Anne Boleyn. Midheaven in Taurus, okay? So let's take a look here. The first thing, I was amazed by a lot, but the first thing that amazed me was their Jupiter conjunction, okay? It is a very close conjunction. I'm afraid I forgot to write down the degree numbers, but you can see here, but I remember looking at the chart, looking at the tables, right? With the numbers. I'm pretty sure I remember it was like less than 1 degree apart. Look, see, let me get the pen here. Hold on, the pen, where's the pen? Sorry, where is the pen? Okay, so here is Meghan's Jupiter, and there is Anne's Jupiter. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Okay, and there's a reason I find, and Meghan's Jupiter is with her Saturn. Saturn's a very karmic planet, okay, and her moon. So, like, deep emotion, subconscious sometimes, you know what I mean? And Vesta is as well, right? So sacred talent, sacred flame, all that kind of thing, right? The reason I find this Jupiter conjunction so striking, and this Jupiter in Libra, so striking, okay, is Jupiter, of course, it can signify luck, fortune, abundance, all that kind of stuff, wealth, all that kind of stuff, right? And in some astrological systems, it can also signify the husband. Okay. Look, I'm talking about like soul resonance, all that kind of stuff, right? Obviously I'm not, okay, I'm just trying to get this out the right way. Obviously I'm not trying to like imply that Prince Harry is like Henry VIII or something like that. Some people get very literal about this kind of thing, okay? But I haven't analyzed the synastry between Prince Harry and Henry VIII yet. If you want me to, tell me, and I can. I'm just gonna make sure that I'm recording here. To make sure I'm recording. What happened? Oh my goodness. Did I do something? Oh my goodness. Did I do something? I have to make sure I'm still recording here. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So, but when I looked at Prince Harry and King Henry VIII's chart, I'm pretty sure I remember, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I remember seeing a very close Moon-Venus conjunction. So, but if you want me to do a synastry analysis of Prince Harry and King Henry VIII, I'd be happy to. And I'm probably going to at some point. Let me know if you want me to, okay? because that would be even more, if there's a lot of synastry there too. Wow. Okay. Anyway. So yeah. So we have like similarities in things like fortune, abundance, and possibly husband. Okay. Together with this karmic Saturn. So yeah. Okay. 2, we have Meghan's South Node and Anne's Neptune conjunction. Okay? Nodes. If you know about nodes, you know they tend to be karmic, okay? This is Meghan's South Node. Okay? Her South Node is in Aquarius in the 7th house, so the house of relationships. Okay? And Aquarius can be quite... Aquarius is about like you know, it can be about like communal things, togetherness, humanity, ideals. But when it comes to things like relationships, sometimes it can be very detached. And we all know what happened with Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII. Okay, her South Node. Look at this. Look at Anne Boleyn's Neptune here. Look at her Juno. Look at this. That's Meghan's South Node. This is Anne Boleyn's Neptune and Juno. Juno, you know, like can be partnerships, contracts, can be marriage. Okay? And Neptune. Neptune tends to be like dreams, glamour, fame. It can be illusions. Like in the modern age, it could be film, photographs. That kind of thing, like the desire for fame, and then for Anne, and then here's Meghan's South Node. Okay, yeah, the nodes can be karmic. The South Node is often thought to signify like the spiritual life before birth, like our existence as a spirit before birth. Some people think it can be like things like past lives. Now, the thing about past lives and the idea of reincarnation is that it can be a lot more complicated than people think. Some people tend to think it's like one soul like jumping into one body after another, but what it can actually be like a group of souls. Like each person still has their own soul. Each person still has their own personality, right? So yeah. 3, Meghan's South Node trines Anne's Jupiter. Another South Node for Meghan. Okay? There's Meghan's South Node. Okay? And it's trining that Jupiter conjunction. Look at this. This Jupiter conjunction with Saturn here. So it's trining, you know, Anne's Jupiter as well as Meghan's, but also all of this, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay, hold on. And as the Jupiters are significant, that's even more significant to me. And then the next one. Anne's Lilith in Aries is near Meghan's MC in Aries. Look at this. So here's Anne's Lilith. Okay? And here's Meghan's MC. Now, Lilith, I find, you know, a lot of astrologers, you know, have different interpretations of it. But generally speaking, like in its most fundamental way, it's the rebellious, wild feminine. Okay. Now, in our society, which tends to have a lot of misogyny and, you know, has a very patriarchal history and everything, unfortunately, a lot of the time, rebellious, wild femininity can be demonized. Okay. Because of the misogyny in our society. And when you think about Anne Boleyn, she was completely demonized. The misogyny was like off the charts. Okay? They basically said she was a witch. And if you look at the way that Meghan is demonized, the way that Meghan is villainized in the media, specifically in the UK, I mean, that's eerie. That's eerie. Okay? Yeah, because... Yeah, so there can be like the idea of disgrace because of how the wild and rebellious feminine is interpreted in a misogynistic society. Okay. Yeah, I think that's extraordinary. Yeah, and the MC is how we show up in our career and public persona in our lives. The 10th house is the most public house. And Anne Boleyn's Lilith is right here with Meghan's MC. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then 5. Okay. The next one. Meghan's Lilith and Scorpio in 5th house, trines Anne's Uranus, and Vesta and Pisces in the 8th house. Okay. So Meghan's Lilith, so this is another Lilith here. This is Meghan's. Okay. And it is in Scorpio in the 5th house, and it trines and Uranus and Vesta and Pisces in the 8th house. Okay, so now keep in mind. Okay, so we have Anne's Vesta and Uranus up here. Okay, the Venus is also over here, but it's quite far away. And Uranus is a planet of rebellion, shock, surprises, being different. Okay. Vesta is an asteroid that is about your creative energy and sacred flame. Okay. And Meghan's Lilith is trining this. You know, the rebellious feminine, the wild feminine, the feminine that stands up for, herself against a patriarchal society. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and then 6. Meghan, Saturn, and Libra in 3rd house, opposition to Anne's Venus and Aries in 8th house. And keep in mind the 8th house too, for Anne. I mean, we all know what the 8th house can be like, really intense things, transformations, hardship, intense hardship, all kinds of things like that. And we all know what Anne went through, okay? Okay. All right. And then Meghan, Saturn in Libra. Saturn is karmic again in Libra in the 3rd house. Opposition to Anne's Venus in Aries in the 8th house. With the end of the 8th house, almost the 9th. Okay. Now oppositions, the thing about they're always on the same axis. So even though it's like a red line, there's still some like synergy there in terms of almost being like two sides of the same coin. So for Meghan Saturn to be an opposition to Anne's Venus like that push and pull, that kind of, that's amazing because Saturn is karmic, okay? Saturn is often seen to potentially have karmic significance in astrology. We see that Meghan Saturn opposes Anne's Venus. Oppositions are on the same axis, and sometimes there is a sense of two sides of the same coin, a push-pull, a need to harmonize, etc., okay? 7. Anne, Saturn in Leo trines Meghan's Neptune and Sagittarius in the 5th house. So another Saturn, okay? Anne Saturn is trining Meghan's Neptune. So Meghan's Neptune and Sagittarius, right? Her, how she enjoys being famous. She enjoys being in film. Okay? It's almost as if Anne Saturn is coming into that. Okay? So another Saturn aspect, this time it is Anne Saturn, which is in Leo, and trines Meghan's Neptune and Sagittarius. What comes to mind here is how Anne Saturn seems to color and perhaps restrict in some ways, Meghan's dreams in some ways, but it can also be the karmic link, or both. Or maybe it brings reality to dreams or illusions that she had, or something like that. Create some kind of resolution. 8. Meghan's moon with Jupiter and Saturn in Libra in the 3rd house is in opposition to Anne's Venus and Aries in the 8th house, the end of the 8th house, almost 9th. Opposition again, okay? So Meghan's moon sits with Jupiter and Saturn in Libra, and it opposes Anne's Venus in Aries, okay? So where's Meghan's moon here? Right here. So again, it's that cluster there. A very significant cluster for Meghan here. Very significant when it comes to this synastry, okay? So her moon is right there with those planets, and then it opposes her Venus in Aries. So that push and pull again. Did I already mention that? Sorry if I did. Saturn. Oh, no, I mentioned the Saturn part of the cluster, but I didn't mention the moon. Okay, and then 9. Anne's South Node in Cancer in 11th house is in Meghan's 12th house in Cancer, near Meghan's ascendant. Look at that. Now, nodes, generally speaking, have karmic resonance, and this is Meghan's 12th house, right? Oh, hold on. Did I get that wrong? Oh, yeah, it is. Meghan's 12th house, right there. That's Meghan's 12th house, right here, okay? Right near her ascendant. The 12th house is the house of spirituality and the spirit world, secrets and things like that. And it's near Meghan's ascendant, the way she is perceived in the world in terms of her physical presence and personality. Right? 10. Conjunction between Meghan's Sun in Leo in the 1st house and Anne's Ceres in Leo in the 12th house. So we have Meghan's Sun, and then look at this. Look how close that is. I mean, all of the aspects I mentioned here are close, very close. Most of them are very close. Okay, most of them. But and this one is one of the closest. Look at this. It's almost like right on it. So this hidden thing here with Anne, the spirit coming from spirit on Meghan's Sun. Okay. So I said, I find this very striking. Ceres is a large asteroid that symbolizes nurturing and even motherhood. And Anne's Ceres is conjunct Meghan's Sun. Okay? Like her essence of being. 11. Anne's Sun in Taurus in 10th house is conjunct Meghan's Chiron in Taurus in 11th house. There are similarities between Ceres and Chiron, but Chiron has more to do with psychological wounds and healing, but also being able to help other people heal. It's called the wounded healer. Here we see that Meghan's Chiron is conjunct Anne's Sun. You can't make this up. I was amazed when I saw this. Now, where is Meghan's Chiron? So Meghan's Chiron is right here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look how similar that is. And this is near Anne's MC, her midheaven. Look at this. So like Meghan as a wounded healer, healing Anne's Sun. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. I was amazed. I had a feeling there was going to be quite a bit, but I'm amazed by how much there is. I'm sorry I didn't mark as much, on the thing as I went. But if you watch this again and you follow along on the chart, you'll see all the things, okay? Because I mentioned all the houses, I mentioned the signs. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. I'm a bit tired tonight, but I was just so excited about this. I just wanted to share it. Sometimes when I see something like this, it makes me want to share it. It makes me want to tell people. You know what I mean? Because I don't think anyone's gone into it this much, at least not that I've seen. Not on YouTube anyway. Oh, and then look at the Pluto too. Hold on. Yeah, and then these are further away, but Meghan's Pluto with Juno here is near Anne's Pallas Athena. That's a bit far though. But look at this though. Meghan's vertex is near Anne's Pluto. Yeah, so there's a lot going on here. Let me know what you think, okay? If you see any like other interpretations, if you spot anything else, I'd love you to tell me in the comments. And let me know if you want me to take a look at, do a SYNASTRY analysis of Prince Harry and King Henry VIII. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. All right, take care. Bye. Now I'm going to figure out how to turn up the recording because I'm using a screen recording. And for some reason, when I went into the drawing function, it's not showing me the recording anymore. So let's hope I was recording the whole time. Anyway, take care. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Okay, take care. Bye.